What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Games Recap.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Hopefully, welcome back. Another episode of Games Recap where Larry Charles, Brandon Pham, we're going to sit and talk about the biggest news in the game industry that happened yesterday. Yesterday-ish.
Yesterday-ish. So first up, we're going to talk about, of course, a topic that we didn't get to yesterday because we were kind of fuming over Valve. Check out the episode if you didn't catch it on our YouTube.com/Blue Champs. In the meantime, let's look at this particular topic. Right, Phil Spencer a couple of days ago gave an extensive interview to Kotaku and was pretty honest about how Xbox One failed to kind of integrate themselves in this current gen of consoles. If you remember, during the PS3 era or Xbox, what was it? What was the last Xbox?
The Xbox 360.
Oh my god! They need to start. They need to keep with the name, man, because this is getting complicated. But the Xbox 360, I felt, completely won that generation, or at least built off of what the original Xbox was.
I will say, I think PS3 probably still outsold the 360, but I think the 360 was the strongest Microsoft showing thus far. Original Xbox got them in the game. I think 360 was like best online support and services for fans who played the games. Like Xbox Live at that time was huge, right? The achievements, they brought that to the game or to the marketplace. And I think that was probably their best execution so far, me personally.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely they definitely created a great first-party exclusives as well as third-party support. They had a string of great titles, and I think it was the onslaught of Gears of War at that time, which was their, I think, biggest third-party exclusive, right?
That's first-party, Gears of War?
Gears of War is first-party now.
Oh.
But when it was under Epic's banner, it was third-party. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
See?
No,
You see that?
You're right.
Because they only had Halo.
It was third-party exclusive.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
It was a huge third-party exclusive, which is non-existent now.
Yeah.
In this current gen, there's no such thing as third-party exclusive unless you're an indie title, and you need the monies. But let's go to this article real quick. So as we're looking at this article, another great article by Kotaku, by our friend over there, Steven. Not really our friend, we don't know. But, the strengths of the Xbox platform has diminished in this current gen. The Project Scarlet, to me, I didn't really see any exclusive titles that was very huge, aside from, again, it's Halo Infinite, and then, again, Gears of War. It's like...
Other than the safe bets, right? Like the things that we just kind of know are Microsoft.
Sure.
I feel like it would be so early for companies that are working on Scarlet stuff to show their cards, because it would also probably reveal about Scarlet, I guess, in some way.
Yes. But it also didn't feel like safe bets to me either. It felt like very old thinking.
Rehash.
Very, very rehash, because the trailers themselves weren't very exciting, right? The cuts were too much of a tease. I think if they're announcing their console, they need to have a better effort than that to really get people excited and back into Xbox camp, because everyone's hanging out in the PS4 booth right now.
Yeah, and I think the way that Sony is teasing their new console is actually smart, right?
Yeah.
They realize that we're getting to the end of the Fidelity arms race. So you know what they talked about? They're like, hey, here's how long it takes to play Spider-Man and get from one part of the city to the other, or to load this big thing. And they're like, wow. 9 seconds. Here it is on PS5. It was instant, right? So like they're selling the idea of you don't have to wait anymore to play your games, and they're leading with that as their first card played, which I actually think is really strong, because we are getting better and better technology. Our processors are getting faster. We're adding more RAM. We're adding solid state memory, and like all these things that's going to make accessibility of gaming content way better for the consumer. And I think that's a great starting point to start teasing and promoting their new console, because it's showing off the power without showing like the graphical power.
Right.
They're saving that for later.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, I don't have an Xbox One, right? Have you been enjoying that box?
Oh yeah. I'll say from the initial purchase, I think that, I bought into the Xbox and I didn't have Kinect, and then I went and got the Kinect camera just because I thought it would be cool to, do face recognition, or turn on Xbox or Xbox on or whatever. Hopefully I didn't mess up anybody's Xbox right now. Xbox off. Anyway, so I thought that was cool and gimmicky, but I didn't play any games actually that took advantage of the software. I was not excited about any sort of like frame mapping, Just Dance technologies or anything like that. So I would say that like it was hit or miss for me initially. But the thing that makes me prioritize playing games on the Xbox One right now versus the PS5 is I really like the Game Pass. I've always loved PlayStation Plus giving me the like, here are your 1 or 2 free games a month. Like I love free games, especially because if it's a $60 game that I missed, let's say a year ago or 2 years ago, I think that that's always been strong. But Xbox Game Pass, sure, I'm paying $10, but I was browsing it this morning. There's like 110 games on there, and I'd say roughly about 20 to 30% of those are games that I want to download, install, and play, and that I'm happy that I have access to for the $10. Shenmue 1 and 2, I saw was on there today, so that's installing as we speak.
Yeah. Well, my question to you is like, with Game Pass, of course, you having experience with it. You hear the Stadia stuff. Where do you stand? Do you feel like there's stuff in Stadia camp that you're like, oh, that's different, or is it more of the same and it's just with a Google brand over it?
Me specifically, I'm still going to continue to support Games Pass. I like that model. It's convenient. There's not thousands of games that it takes me forever to find anything interesting. I think the amount of games that they offer right now for the $10 is like perfect value right now. Stadia, I love the idea behind Stadia because I can see that potentially opening top level gaming to so many more people that it helps the developers on that end. So I like what they want to do. I'm probably going to try it because I mean I can pay like $10 to get the Stadia experience and just to see what games I have access to, get a sense of the future. I haven't yet been sold as a permanent like this is my fourth console: Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and now Stadia. So that's kind of where I am. How about yourself?
Let me switch this up real quick.
Okay. Let's get some Spencer comments.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're looking over this, and I mean, he was pretty honest, and Kotaku, what they've been doing lately has been very upfront, but not trying to get them too much in trouble in the twist of words, but more like asking nicely, getting him warmed up before
the real
hard questions. But like the thing
what do you attribute the failure of those was
So, I mean, this is how you cushion. This is what I'm learning through media. This is how you cushion things out. So, the question asked was, so you have a good taste in games, right? Because Phil Spencer was in the trenches before being promoted, which is good. And what I appreciate a lot with a lot of these execs coming from that place. I don't know you see it quite the way I see it, but do you see that there has been a challenge in terms of high-quality creation with you guys if you figure out the remedy to get past that and make those stars... Again, a subtle jab saying like your game's been sucking on the first party exclusives. What's going on, right? So it's worth noting what he responded with is I think quality of first party is very important. So I'm totally with you there. So that's why we've been investing. I'm paraphrasing here. Put a lot of pressure on everything that we're doing, and it became very difficult to manage a portfolio and maintain the high quality level. So the supporting we're getting now over the last couple of years has allowed us to reinvest in first party. And this is big, right? Because they publicly made it very known before they started snatching up like 8 of the studios is that they need to reinvest and double down and, focus on the content now because for some reason there was a weird absence from Microsoft. Because we were talking about like the last year and a half, what Xbox games have been marketed? Right,
Forza. I've seen a lot of Forza content.
Aside from the obvious, but like,
I was like literally going through it to try to figure out which ones.
It's not much, and it's a weird time to be absent in a very competitive time, right during Christmas and all that.
Man, especially with the console transition about to start. You know what I mean? Like they got to start hedging bets to get people excited about the exact games that people will be playing, and not necessarily just the conveniences and the technologies that they have to offer. I think Sony's kind of doing a little of both. Obviously, we know that they have some really heavy hitter current gen games that still haven't come out yet, like The Last of Us 2. Obviously, I don't believe Last of Us 2 is going to be next gen. I think it's current gen. So there's still people excited about the end of their life cycle. Whereas I don't have any one specific game coming out right now from Microsoft where I've been following trailers and comments and reading articles and just building up a clamor for this experience. Like, I don't have any of those that have been sold to me yet, unfortunately.
Right. And so I always felt it was weird that well, it's nice that they acknowledge it, but it felt weird. There was a weird period where they were just different or gone or non-existent. Even their first party exclusives. I'm pretty sure Halo Infinite had to miss the date, right? My feeling on it was because the last Halo was, aside from the remasters,
Halo 4.
Halo 4. When was that? 2000.
A while ago. That was a long time ago.
Let's look that up.
The thing, where I feel bad about Halo is like Halo was a cultural phenomenon when it came out at the time. It offered a great play experience, but it also offered a great connectivity, right? It was the like, bring over your Xbox, let's get 4 Xboxes together and play, or let's it was like the first taste of like a lot of the online stuff that we have right now. And so sure, Halo definitely pioneered a lot of the multiplayer first-person shooter gaming on console as far as competitive stuff goes. And the game and the story was actually really good. I still, to this day, reference the introduction of the Flood in Halo 1 when I'm teaching people stuff about game design. But now, like, the market has shifted so much so that, like, the staples of what I expect or want to do in a Halo, the way that I control Master Chief, I don't want to say it's outdated, but I want to say that, like, it feels so familiar that there's not a lot of excitement in me thinking about playing a new Halo game. Like, I'm not, like, I've had it so much. I've had 5 Halo games potentially at this point, plus like the the Halo ODST, Halo Show, Halo Master Chief Collection, where they remastered the old Halo games and you play through the nostalgia effect. We've been bombarded with the Green Spartan for 2 console generations now, going into our 3rd. And it's not like Mario where they can just add new enemies or they're adding new stages and like giving him subtle power-ups. I honestly think that like a God of War style overhaul is needed for Master Chief if they want Master Chief to still be a flagship experience moving forward. I think God of War is a great blueprint for exactly what needs to be shaken up. They're like, hey, look, it's a big title. We have a lot of fans behind us, and this is how we've done it game after game after game after game. Why don't we play with a big part of that experience? Let's change it up a little bit. It'll still be a Master Chief story, but how can we tell it maybe more personal? How can we tell it more intimate? How can we give him more character except for Cortana, go into the mainframe and shut it down?
I know. The all right, I gotta admit something.
Yeah.
If I haven't been vocal before, I've never been a Halo fan. Halo came out for the consoles, and it was supposed to bring the PC experience to the console. That was its big sell. Yeah. I've been playing on PC for a long time before they even brought it over. So when when they brought it over, it wasn't revolutionary to me. It was watered down. So ever since then, I've never really got into it. And although I appreciate the art form and what they're doing and how they've grown over the years, and it's a well-respected company, Bungie and 343 Studios, I just never been a huge... There's nothing that ever shown to me where I felt excited about. Master Chief didn't feel as cool as Solid Snake to me. Like a lot of the Call of Duty game covered the warfare on boot to the floor. What is it called?
Boots on the ground. Boots
on the ground is what like Call of Duty thing. Like it covered all that, and then all the sci-fi stuff is something I didn't like. Like in those kind of shooters, it felt floaty. I personally never liked it as a competitive shooter.
I think
so. Like the fiction part, if that was the sell, it never really drawn me in because it felt, again, the story wasn't even that great to me.
Oh man, you beat Halo 1, 2, and 3?
I played Halo 1, 2, and 3.
Play it.
I never beat it.
It's fine. No, it's
no.
I'll offer you this. I think 1 through 3 is worth a playthrough for story. I think 1 through 3
was that good.
I think it was. At the time, it felt great. I felt like a hero. I felt like, oh man, this is really cool. They took me on this great adventure. Okay. After 3, it kind of.
So it didn't. So I guess I never gave it a fair chance because it always felt cheesy to me.
If it didn't capture you, you gave it a fair chance by even playing it. You know what I mean? So like, if the game didn't reel you in, it's not your fault. To be honest, I wouldn't blame you for that.
Right. So going back to Phil Spencer when he was talking about all these struggles and all these first party games. Aside from the two main obvious ones, which is Gears of War now and Halo, what else is there?
Forza. The whole reason why they made the Xbox
besides
One
Forza.
X. But that's all I can think of is like, all right, Forza.
But like, what is like the
what
fourth,
else?
fifth? You talk about the Sony can and Nintendo. You can name up to 10 now.
Yeah, if you were to go game for game with Sony and then Microsoft, Sony's going to win.
That's
10
why
times.
I'm so cautious about all these studios that are snatching up. Aside from Ninja Theory.
Yeah, no faith in the other ones. Not Double Fine, not Obsidian, not In Exile.
No. No.
I'll say this. I can see you not giving the credit to In Exile and Obsidian because I haven't known you to play like the type of games that I feel like those companies are excellent at.
Okay.
So I can understand you probably not being excited about those pickups.
Yeah.
I think Double Fine has been...
Double Fine has been consistent, yes.
Okay.
That latest buy, sure. But is it one of those... Is it up there with Gears of War and Halo? Are they going to give us something like that? No.
I think they're great at creating cult classics.
Yeah, so that's what I'm seeing. Like, what are they positioning themselves? Are they just kind of folding all the big blockbuster? They're moving away from the blockbuster games that's being released and leaving it to Sony to kind of handle. And they're kind of like trying to dominate the middle ground now, the AA. Because that's what I'm seeing with all the buys. Of course, for financial reasons, they're a lot cheaper. Yeah. Right. So they have to, and to kind of build up their portfolio, which is if their intention is to have these exclusives, because the next box and the PS5 is exactly the same peripherals. It's the same processor and graphic with a different logo on top. Right? There's nothing different about it. Yeah. And now it's completely software based now when it comes to console wars, right? If you're talking about high fidelity graphics.
Yeah,
so if they're looking to create first party exclusives to kind of buff up their library and kind of really concentrate on Game Pass and they've kind of stated like they want to start moving away from hardware being the focus. Yeah. Because the hardware business it's not profitable, right?
And plus you also have to keep in mind the gentleman's agreement that these companies have where it's like, if Sony really wanted to, they could blow the doors off of Microsoft, right? If Microsoft really wanted to, they could blow the doors off the PlayStation with graphics fidelity. But in doing so, they make it very difficult for the developers to release on both platforms, right? So that's like you for sure better be going exclusive or first party route if you made something so far away from the capability of the other device that you're now forcing developers to choose one or the other or make for one and then offer watered down for the other. You know what I mean? And when that happens, obviously people don't play the watered down because they want to get their money's worth. They play the primary.
Right. So I don't know how they're gonna get back on the platform because right now they're like. Well, I guess you can call them third, right? In third place right now.
Oh, damn! You think Nintendo is taking the
Nintendo's definitely killing it right now, dude. With the Switch, everyone's buying the hardware, and their software is very smart. They adjusted it to make it every 3 months a major game release, and everyone talks about that.
What I see with Microsoft is they're trying to set up for agility. I think they know that they're going into an even more unpredictable future as providers of game content. So they're offering accessibility through like, hey, if you want indie titles and things like that, we're really doubling down on ID at Xbox, and we're trying to help those creators pump out content for our devices. If you like a Netflix-style gaming experience, you don't have $60 to spend at any one time, but spending $10 every month doesn't scare you. Here's some game content.
Is it $10 a month?
$10 a month. Okay. And then, hey, if you still do want the big stuff, we got Gears of War, Halo, and Forza.
Right. But the Game Pass still requires an Xbox to play, right? They're not moving on to like a PC Game Pass?
So I can't verify that. I don't know if my Game Pass allows me to play like games for Windows or anything like that. I just exclusively play my One X.
All right, let's move to your face. Wow. Sure. Let me look that up because I'm very curious on that.
But
because out of anything anything Xbox, the Game Pass for me is like the most interesting what Xbox has evolved in the last couple years.
Me too. I really like what's going on there. It feels good for how much money I spend, how much value I get. To know that, sure, some games may come and go. Like I may see a day where, oh, I didn't finish playing this experience in the time that it was allowed to be on the Games Pass. But, you know, the fact that there's like 110, 115 quality titles ranging from Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox One X, to then this new future, like Gears 5 is going to be on Games Pass. So if you already have Games Pass, instead of spending $60 or $70 on the new AAA title that came out, you can just play it on Games Pass. If you're already a member, there's no additional purchase for you. Just go ahead and start playing.
All right, so
that was a big surprise for me.
Yeah, so let's read this off. I'm going to
Sure.
zoom up so everyone can see this. All right, so let's start from right to left, right? From cheapest to most expensive. So
Also, PC is included for an extra.
So console is at $10, which is what Larry has, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is obviously access with the new games and same-day release stuff from first-party exclusives,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. The PC one is
$5 a month.
$5 a month, and they're really teasing that right now to get people in. That's actually a pretty damn good deal. Unlimited access, same thing. You get all the exclusive for PC and Xbox. See, that's the smartest thing they've ever done.
Yeah.
To make Xbox and PC the same day release.
Mm-hmm.
Develop for both. It's already free. It's like the easiest thing to develop for.
Yeah.
And then for $15 a month, what do you get differently?
So you get Xbox Gold, which is your
Online
ability
component?
to play online and be competitive and be a part of that
worth it.
community. Yeah. So actually, it sounds like my price is going to jump up $5.
Yeah, if you want your online.
Definitely want to pwn noobs.
So this goes, okay, so the $15 gives you the PC and Xbox.
Yeah.
So you can opt in.
That's the best one.
This is what they want to move forward to. It's like if you have a good PC, you don't need an Xbox anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's honestly the box is just giving people access to play games, and where they make the money is the games, the microtransactions, the subscriptions, the content, the advertising, the community. The box is just a way to get people in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's the
that's
smartest
a smart
move that
Yeah.
they've done. And to me, they are completely bowing out of the hardware business.
Well, I've been saying it, man. Anyone go back and listen to Game Dev Unchained podcast.
Yes.
I was
but
like,
for Sony, it's different for Sony and Nintendo. They're killing it right now, right?
yes.
Nintendo, everybody wants that hardware to
Yeah.
play because it's very unique. And then Sony's, of course, the leader, is continuing to make PS. They have such a strong brand.
I mean,
PS5 sounds fresh.
I'll eat crow if we see PlayStation 6.
You think so?
I'll eat crow because I think that we're just getting to the point where the accessibility is king. You know, people want their games whenever they want it. If I've known anything about games consumer is they demand everything for as little as money as possible, as immediately as possible. And
Do you think
the
they ever
trend.
come back with the TV business?
What do you mean?
Sony. I mean, Sony's being conquered by Samsung's here.
Yeah.
Right? But like, imagine if Sony stops selling console, but everything's a smart TV now, and their service is a part of that. I guess it doesn't matter.
I think Sony's biggest problem, in my opinion, as far as outside of games, and even games included, I've seen a lot of this attitude is this like, as technology was coming up and being discovered, before things were like cemented as the way to go, they always tried to create the like Sony exclusive technologies to then charge a premium for them when everyone else was like, well, we're all going to adopt this platform together so that everyone has access to X, Y, and Z. Like Blu-ray was like, I think they acquired Blu-ray, but that ended up being proprietary for a while. You look at memory cards for your PSP or for your PSP, the Vita, and then the memory cards for the PlayStation. Like every time they had an opportunity to just use a format that was widely adopted and make it convenient, they went their own. They always did their own thing, and then they charged a premium for it, and you were never getting dollar to value. You were always getting Sony taxed, like out the ass. Everything they sold was probably doubled in price, in my opinion. If they sold it for half as much, I felt like there was profit even still, you know what I mean, at half price. That's how high their premiums were.
Yeah.
Also, just a quick shout out to anybody in Twitch and in the comment section. We read all the comments. We got our phones right here. So if you want to say, hey, shout out to mom or ask us specific questions about the articles we read, feel free to drop a line.
Well, let's going back to the article. That is something that we talk about all the time. Do you think it would be beneficial if game developers unionize? Spencer, that means no.
Yeah.
I've been asked this, and I'll always answer. I feel kind of silly in the way I answer, but honestly, I'm not any kind of expert on a union. I've been at Microsoft since I was 20, so I don't know. I don't hear that inside, just being honest, when I'm with my teams. You don't hear the desire? No, the things I get are, hey, I want to make sure I can do my best work here. I want to make sure I have the right tools. I want to make sure I have the right environment. You guys report on it. Other people report on it. It's true. I don't think he's the right guy, right? He's just trying to run the Xbox division.
He's smart.
Yeah.
His deflection game is pretty strong.
Pretty strong.
Because for him to make a stand and say, yes, I do think the game industry needs to unionize, he's then going to send shockwaves through different sectors of Microsoft, especially the shareholders, right? That's something that I don't think the shareholders would want, because then you can't exploit anymore. You can't exploit the labor for cheap profits, or you can't do the 800 layoff, record bonuses, earnings calls anymore, things like that. There's more accountability that's going to be held. And all that I think unions are going to do, even though it's going to make things more fair, which should be what we want, it's going to make, in going to fairness because of exploitations, it makes the people on the other side of unions, the employers, actually have to pay more money or have to be held more accountable and get away with less things that have been business practice for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So I totally understand why he specifically was trying to deflect and say, I don't have a dog in that fight. I don't have enough experience. Do you have empathy? Do you understand how games are made? Do you understand what developers go through in order to make games?
Yeah.
Do you read those same headlines? I know for sure he has an opinion on should game developers unionize or not. He's wearing a badge that him answering that question will create situations that are above his head that will be very big headaches for the people that employ him.
Yeah, it's a big trapping on Kotaki's part, trying to.
Hey, I'm glad they asked.
I'm glad they asked to get him uncomfortable.
You see the little eye twitch, the little sweat beads.
But yeah, I mean, obviously he does have an opinion, and he does. It's not like he's completely disconnected. I mean, he's running the game division for Xbox and Microsoft. It's a conversation not for them, man. It's just for us.
Yeah, it's
for game developers. If you want to unionize, it's up to you. To start from what Emma Kanema has said many times, grassroots movement. It starts from one person talking to another. For long time the listeners, long time watchers and viewers, us doing GDucks, we have our own personal feelings about it, because right now the status quo just sucks. Yeah. But going back to Xbox, I have unless they're just shipping a box to say they shipped a box, I have very little faith that they're gonna be able to trump back to where they were with 360. So I think Sony, the Asians, learned from their mistake, and they said never again.
The market share was a lot more, I would say, closer to even for PS3, Xbox 360 versus Xbox One, PS4. Yeah. Xbox One, PS4, I feel like is like a 6-1.
6-1, yeah.
In Sony's favor, something like that.
Oh yeah, because man, what was it? This last year alone?
Yeah.
God of War 4, Spider-Man killed it.
Red Dead isn't exclusive.
Red Dead is everyone.
It's not exclusive, yeah.
But I mean, they had plenty of other games.
Sure, and then
Uncharted.
To know that
Last of Us 2 is coming out.
Last of Us 2 is coming out.
Like, if you look at the end cycle of these current gen, I can't really name any Xbox games. I'm pretty sure Halo and Gears of War was meant.
Was State of Decay?
Well, maybe not Gears of War, but Halo had to be meant for this gen, but got slipped.
Was State of Decay 2 Xbox exclusive? State of Decay 2, do you recall?
No, it's not exclusive. Okay. I don't think
I thought it was.
Sea of Thieves was.
Sea of Thieves also on Games Pass. You can play it for free if you spent your $9.
Which is smart. I think what they're doing with Game Pass is future-proofing.
I should change that. You can play it for your $9. I hate saying you can play it for free if you spent the money, but you know what I mean. It's included. You don't
buy a game. Yeah. How often do you buy a game? On average. Yeah.
If I didn't have Game Pass, I would say I was probably buying at least 7 full-price video games a year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's more than average then.
More than average?
I think it's more than average. 7 games a year.
7 games a year. Well, full price as in
I
like,
bought was,
but that's a Steam game, like
right.
a $10, $14, or $50 or $60 game. I'm just saying I buy about 7 full price games a year.
Or what about an Xbox game?
So like an Xbox game, I bought maybe one Xbox game this year.
That sounds about right.
I bought Red Dead on Xbox.
That sounds about right. But how long have you been having a Game Pass?
I've had Game Pass since I bought the One X around Christmas time.
Okay, so there you go. They got their $120 from you that you would usually spend $60. They doubled you, and then you're probably going to keep on it until.
I'm not going to quit on Games Pass unless I see like there's not really an offering here that benefits
me. And so
me.
you see that you 100 times that or 1,000 times that. Those are the amount of customers that are constantly. It's a revenue stream that companies love because they can rely on it and see how it like decreases, increases.
Sure.
In increments.
Plus,
versus because the console business is kind of like the card business right now, right? The hardware that you sell, you get very little profit if you do at all, and you don't even you're operating at a loss at the beginning. A lot of these new consoles that come out, they underprice them just to get them off the shelves, and they make their money back from the software.
Yeah,
and that's why the first party exclusives are important. Getting noise about it because they go buy the hardware, but then they continuously support the companies behind it.
Plus, they're finally realizing that having a digital channel for distribution of software cuts the underbelly of the game industry resale, where other people were making money except for the people who made the box and produced the content. Right? If you went to GameStop and bought Uncharted 4 for $18 or whatever off the like used thing, they don't send an extra $6 to Sony, and they don't send an extra $6 to the developers and then keep $6 themselves, right? They're like, oh no, you've already got your money because this was sold once. So new customers are being created. People are experiencing the content, but the money exclusively is going to GameStop. They completely had all of that money where they had nothing to do with actually creating or playing the game or being responsible for the creation or the playing of that game. So this digital future, especially like a Games Pass or any of these, like, hey, just buy it digitally from us. Oh, man, come on. They're like, all right, we're cutting GameStop completely out of the picture because they've never been paying homage. They've never been just like forward thinking and said, hey, every time we resell one of your games, we're going to give 10 to 15% of the price to you as a fee. Relationship could have been way better if they even attempted that, but they didn't, right? So now look what happens. All the publishers want to go fully digital. They want you to buy it full price. They don't want you to be able to sell it to another person, so that if every new customer is literally a new customer, Sony's always going to get their money. Microsoft always gets their money. Developers always gets their money. And I'm on that side, so I'm like, cool, that's awesome.
Well, here's a question for me to you. Right?
Sure.
Years ago, Microsoft was struggling with their online PC store. The Windows
Games
Game
for
Store
Windows,
or whatever. That's the first thing you uninstall when you install Windows. It's like, get that shit off my start taskbar, right? So they were obviously, Valve was in a good place with them where here's a solution that obviously works. It's thriving. I'm sure there was been talks because they're right next door to each other and they have history with each other, right? Now that the Game Pass is kind of taken off, people are really positive about their experience with it, at least. How do you feel about a situation? Do they need Steam at all anymore? Do you think it's advantageous at all?
Microsoft's first party stuff, like with their games for Windows?
No, just having Steam as a platform under the Microsoft brand.
Well, so would Microsoft want to buy Steam?
Yes.
That's a tough one. I think Microsoft's in a better position to buy Steam. I think
Do they want Steam? Do they need Steam now? I mean,
I think
that's definitely less now than before.
They're like the only person I would consider them buying Steam could actually create some advantages for them. Obviously, whatever Steam was taking as a cut for all those games being sold and distributed and all that digital information going to and from through whatever internet channels, I think Microsoft is better equipped to handle that, to probably streamline that, make it better, make it faster, more unique. They're probably going to be better at data collecting, data mining, and then having that as an asset that they could then sell, which, taboo, but people do it.
Yeah.
I think that they're probably in the best position to own Steam and actually get a benefit out of it other than just the monetary. I will say on a competitive edge, it's a tough sell for me because now they have Steam and then they have Games Pass. And I think they're really trying to double down on the Games Pass because I don't see them doing a like, hey, here's this just store offering that just has thousands, tens of thousands of games that we also want to spend marketing money and draw attention to.
Well, let's entertain this idea, right?
Sure.
They're buying all these smaller studios to kind of pump up their indie or double A game portfolio, right?
Yeah.
None of these games are at the same stage of Gears of War or Halo. No matter how you feel about those games.
None of the companies that they've bought.
None of the new studios are on the caliber of a triple A 300 plus team.
Okay. You don't like the Outer Worlds? That's not close to you?
Which one? The Obsidian one?
That's the Obsidian one.
It's not even
Triple A.
That is not triple A, man.
That's double A.
That's double A. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry, man. That's double A.
fired.
No, shots received weeks ago. All right, they know it's double A. That's a double A game. All right, let's not kid ourselves. Gears of War, Halo, right? Even if you put it at triple A level, there are tiers, and obviously there's a distance, right? We can agree on that. So if Microsoft, their whole thing is trying to build up their smaller game portfolio to offer on Games Pass because they're like, here's a software business, here's a service that every month we need to offer new things. Wouldn't Steam be in the best position for that? And it's like, oh, holy shit. Here's an avenue that everybody's submitting their games, and there's a new once in a while gem that pops out, and AAA titles are already retreating from that store. So you're going to be left with basically all the smaller devs creating noise, right?
Sure.
So if they see that as a strengthening, because right now Steam doesn't have a Game Pass, which is dumb. That should have been the next evolution for them to like, here's a special, it's like a blend of what Apple Arcade is doing. Here's a special curated content from Steam, exclusives.
Actually, that's a pretty good idea.
And here's a $10 membership that you'll get to play. And it will pump up the indie developers' pockets, but also provide like a constant revenue stream for Steam. Right? But Microsoft somehow beat them to the punch. Figure them out. But this is like a perfect harmony where both companies would benefit from this deal, right? In my mind.
I guess the business side of me, my concern if I was Microsoft was like, all right, we just spent all this money like acquiring these studios. We want to give them a fair chance. And being 4 games out of 100 is better than being 4 games out of 25, 30, 40,000. I have no idea how many games are on Steam. Maybe hundreds of thousands of games. Again, so I will say, yeah, like Microsoft could own Steam. I think that based on what I'm seeing Microsoft doing, I don't think that like their plan is to own like a Steam style platform. I think they only want to have the like you said with Steam should add the membership thing, the here's curated content for $10. I think they love that business model, the Netflix model, scaled to the size where they're still getting the people that they've purchased attention. 5 years from now could be a different story. I think that Microsoft would be, the first one in lines to say, if you play a game on a PC, it comes through us, right? Like, I think they'll be first in line for that.
You think 5 years from now they're going to
No, I'm saying I could see them being first in line, like to like make that happen. I just don't know how some of those relationships would play out where Microsoft, the technology provider, versus Microsoft, the game developer, how that works out. Because there's Sega games on Steam. Well, I guess Sega kind of bowed out of that fight, but I guess you get where I'm going with it, where it's like,
Microsoft's continuously work as a third party.
Yeah,
I mean their console's all third party. I don't think there's a conflict of interest if they own Steam as well. If anything, they make it easier. It's like, hey, we have a hardware business. You want your game on, like it would work very in line with ID at Xbox.
Yeah, the Steam logo is green now.
Yeah, I think pretty much. Yeah. Like I see like a huge win for game developers and gamers alike if those two companies just join together.
Well, I don't know who else could buy Steam, to be honest.
Nobody wants to buy Steam.
Who could buy it and actually like legitimately benefit off of it, other than keeping it as is and just taking over the revenue stream?
I think as Microsoft is in place right now. Like Steam, like they need to have a Steam Pass. It's really dumb for them to not even. Maybe they've discussed it internally, but I really do think they've just been lazy, man. They've been just so It's fine. Look how much money we made last. Okay, we're fine. We
How
don't
does
need new ideas.
how does like a Steam sale fit in? Because like that's something that I would see like start to diminish, right? Like the
All right, Gabe, if you're watching, here's the whole model. All right,
here you go.
All right, listen to my pitch. Steam Pass, right? Steam Pass is our special curated content. It will work with what Epic Game Store is. Like we invite you into this program, and instead of 30%, you get the 10%. Right? We match it up. And this is just good games that we know and we support and we developers, whatever, right? And we will curate it and make sure that everything that's on this service is grade A stuff.
Yeah.
$10 a month, all right? $10 a month, PC, people will sign up to that because they're looking for, well, you get developer support. It's like, how do I get into this program? Plus, they can do kind of what they're doing already, which is the Wild West. Everybody can go on Steam. That's fine. That's the trash,
it stays
right?
where it is.
All right, they serve that crowd, right? You want to put your crappy game on Steam? Sure, go ahead. But in this special curated content, it's the best of both worlds. It's like, hey, if you're part of this partnership, this is great, right? And on the gamer side, it's like, this is good stuff. Because on the gamer side, it's like we got to dig through the trash ourselves. But if I apply to this, and have this Steam Pass, basically, it's basically where we want all our, like what the original vision of Steam was, where when we go on the front page, it's like good ass games, and I don't have to purchase or anything. And so if you're asking about the Steam sales, right, which is their biggest boost of the year, people don't have to be a part of that program. It's still available outside of it. You can opt in or out. Like if you're a third party, it's like, hey, do you want to make this exclusive to just Steam Pass? Sure. It's kind of like what Microsoft's doing, right? All those games on Game Pass are still in boxes.
I think
right
where Games Pass would differ, in my opinion, if Steam was to do it, I would say that because I know that Steam really, really, really wants you to actually like purchase these games, and their model is you buy the game, you own it forever, it's in your library.
Sure.
I think that the difference for them was, I would like to know, like, I get 2 months, right? So like if I buy the February subscription, I get February and March to play whatever games are on that list.
Yeah.
Because after that, it's going to rotate into new games, and those old games are gone forever. So you do need to at least attach that, because you would still want to incentivize people to go back to the sales part. I think with Games Pass, some of those games stay on there so long. I'm not even thinking about, oh, shit, I better own this game. You know what I mean? That's like Oxenfree has been on there for I don't know how long. Street Fighter 4 has been on there for I don't know how long. Mortal Kombat, I don't know if it's gone or not. But some of these games have been just their legacy at this point. Still, same $10 a month gives me access to that game, and I have no fear of like, oh, I better play it before it goes, because I'm already used to the cadence being like, it's going to be there for the better part of a year before you even think about hearing, oh, it's going to get removed.
Yeah.
So I think that a more structured, like, here's every game gets 60 days and then it's done. I think, or even 30 days, to get you like actively checking to see what's coming out.
All these subscription, they're already figuring it out, right? Yeah. Google Stadia over there. Netflix model is definitely the best subscription model for both content developers and publishers, because it guarantees money up front. It's like, hey, we're licensing your game or show or whatever you want to do, and here's the money for 1 year, one year space on our shelves, right? The digital shelves. That's a great deal.
Yeah. And
Steam can be at the forefront of like really shaping that up. Yeah. And changing. I don't know how Game Pass exclusive works. I don't know what kind of deals they have to make. It's like, if you want to put it on a platform, do you get a percentage of that gets complicated. That's probably not it. It's like, hey,
contract stuff that we won't see.
Like money up front is like the easiest transaction. It's like here and done type of thing, right?
Yeah. So for
keeping
example,
track of the revenue and how many oh my God.
It's like if there is a Titanfall 3, you can expect it to go on Games Pass.
Which is smart. Which is their move, and which is what they should be doing.
Yeah. If there was just the fact that like I first peeped that this strategy out when Crackdown 3 was like, hey, we're making Crackdown 3. It's this game that we know people are really excited about. And like, here's some screenshots. We got Terry Crews. It's going to be great.
See, this is
Day
why
one Games Pass. I was like, oh snap! So I could either spend $60 or get it like right now because I'm already a Games Pass member.
Yes.
That opened the door to me of seeing like they're probably going to do this a lot more often.
Well, they are,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Gears 5 Game Pass.
Yes. But when you talk about Crackdown and like, I heard of it. Yes, it has some brand recognition, but it's not like a must-buy type of thing.
But Gears 5,
Gears 5 is a bigger title for sure.
Halo.
But that's why I feel like the smaller studios are snatching up. It's kind of on the veins of they know it's like it's not like everybody's like jumping off their couch to buy these games and lining up, right? It's like, oh, I'll try it.
Sure.
Definitely if it's on Game Pass, you know.
Yeah.
It's there. It has some appeal, right?
Yeah.
But like even Double Fine, them being like one of the better studios, all the studios they bought, right? It's not like I'm gonna jump off to buy Psychonauts 2.
You won't have to.
I won't have to.
It'll be there if you have a subscription.
But it's the convenience.
Sure.
It's enabling, which is a huge opening up the floodgates for indie developer support, right? It's not you have to really go in there with your $10 and make a decision or not. It's like it's there. You're gonna play it, so it's great in that front. So I this is where I'm very hopeful on the digital subscription service is that you're gonna the same way you are on Netflix. You're watching shitty movies you never buy or rent. It's there and you watch it and you give it a chance, right? You're gonna do the same with indie titles.
Sure.
And that's great.
Yep.
But what's kind of muddy waters right now is the business side of things. It's like, how are these guys getting paid? And most importantly, why isn't Steam a part of this? Like, it's so fucking lazy what they're doing over there, dude. Isn't it insane? Like, they were in like the forefront of this type of business model, and they did nothing.
They had no competition, and they didn't need to change because, for sure, Steam supporters are like some of the most rigid, resistant to change.
But what change? This is an addition.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Fair enough. It's not. Yeah, you're right. It's not a change. But I'm just saying that, like, I can see why nothing happened because there was no incentive for anything to happen.
And
if they did nothing,
so
they were still going to make $4 billion that year. You know what I mean?
So disappointing to hear that, though.
But that's how it gets sometimes, especially if the chief person running the company, Gabe, started in gaming. I see him as a lot less of a necktie.
Yeah.
I think he actually is one of the people I would say is like, Gabe Newell's like running
He
Valve,
got it.
starting the company, does Steam. He's a businessman who, for sure, I would say is still attached to gaming, at least at some point.
Yeah.
But now it's like, where is his incentive to do anything?
I see Gabe as like us.
Eating grapes, getting fanned by leaves.
Like 20, 30 years from now. He knows, he's been through the trenches.
Yeah.
He knows the business better than us, than anyone, right? Up and down, and made it to the very top. And he probably concluded that the game business is just a dangerous territory and isn't planning to look back.
Steam to me is like a windmill. It's like they set it up, it works even if you do nothing, right? And it's providing a very valuable resource.
No.
So that's why I see like it lacked a lot of innovation and a lot of change because they're like, for what we needed it to do, it's doing it. You know what I mean? They are trying to fix little things like, oh, we're not giving out data like we used to, or we're going to go against review bombs and that kind of stuff. But they're not like, hey, here's the YouTube video explaining all the great features.
No, they're very reactionary right now as a business. The only time I saw any types of emotion from them was when Epic Games Store started taking away these exclusives from their store and putting on their own. Yeah. And they're like, hey, that's not fair. Yeah. That's the only time I saw them complain or whine or talk about anything. But then that's
the benefit of free market.
Their PR people probably told them, it doesn't look good, guys. Yeah. You're whining out there.
So here's one thing I will say to kind of wrap up my talks on just Games Pass specifically. Yeah. What I love about it is, especially when the new consoles come out, if you're a Games Pass member, every time a new console comes out, I'm sure they're going to see exponential growth in their Games Pass subscriptions because the value proposition of I'm buying a $500 box that has no games on it yet, right? Yeah. I'm going to spend $60 to get one game, so now I have a box and one game. Or I can spend $510 and have a box with 5 or 6 current gen games, 90 like Xbox One and maybe 360 games, but I'm looking at $510 to have access to 100 games day one, ready to go, versus $60 just to have one. You know what I mean? You can't beat that value proposition. I don't care how you look at it.
It's basically a public library at that point. Yeah, it's definitely hard to argue, and I'm glad all the services are kind of moving towards this. It would help a lot of game companies where they're not having to rely and dump $300 million in a game that they don't know if it's going to be successful or not. They can now say like, hey, and operate more like a tech business, right? It's like, hey, we have this revenue stream. How much can we use to support this game? By what time do we need to know it's going to be successful or not? There's a lot of things that it helps the game business. It is exactly what we need right now, because the old way only worked, and which is working for AA studios or indie or anything smaller, right? Which is anything that is sub 25 people.
And I would love to see what some of these contracts look like. I would imagine they're like, hey, here's your upfront.
Very secretive about this.
Here's how long you can stay, and then here is how the percentage breakdown of patronage works. Because I don't think that they just blanketly say each game is going to get X percent.
No.
I think it's more like
special games.
We can track every install, right? And we'll say, all the 90% of our funds goes back to, let's just say, royalties. You were 3.1% of all downloads for that product. So here is your 3.1% of the 80% of all revenue. Sure. Oh, Gears 5, you were 22% of all downloads. So we will give that studio X percent.
I would like to think.
I would love to see.
I would like to think that's how they think in terms of cutting up the piece of the pie. But there's like 5 lawyers in between that conversation.
Where are the caps? Up to this mountain payout. We're not just going to give them 20% of everything.
During the midnight peaks, that's a lesser percentage.
For the first 2 weeks, you get nothing. Then from then on, you're going to get 5% up to $2 million.
Because anytime there's a new pricing model, right? There's a new way to screw developers. Obviously, if we're talking about subscription, we kind of like champion the Netflix model because they seem very fair with their content creators. And then we go all the way to the other side with Spotify and all these musicians kind of complaining about subscription. But even then, when I dig into it, it's because those people are under a label, right? And so it's mostly because of their am I wrong about this? Their music label, and that the company or the whatever that represents them is the one doing this shady business.
I'll say this. I think that when Spotify came out, originally, like music streaming being so small, it looks like such a small revenue source that I can see why a label would be more aggressive in trying to capitalize off of it. Contracts written then probably didn't anticipate that like streaming was going to completely take over patronage or support for those musical products, right? So like when somebody is like, wow, my song got played 258 million times. To do that outside of Spotify, the old-fashioned way, that's thousands of CDs or singles purchased in order to, if not, multiple thousands purchased in order to make that happen at 99 cents a pop or $9.99 or however much the album was costing. That's a lot of revenue, right? To know that 253 million streams of a song occurs and then they give you a check for like $4. You know what I mean?
You feel like you're getting screwed.
Label or not, like that doesn't. But
that sounds more like a middleman problem, right?
I think it's a
because I feel like Spotify
problem.
gives you because there are musicians that own their songs and they put it on there and they're like, I get paid fine.
I would like to see what that fine relativity is. I want to see the most optimal. I created this song, I created this album, no one else to pay, just me and Spotify. I want to know how much that person is like, hey, my album's on there, I did 100,000 or 100 million streams. I got $60. You know what I mean? Like, I want to know what that breakdown actually is. Because the old-fashioned way, obviously, those people are buying $10 albums, $15 albums, $20 albums. And I'm not going to shake a stick at the sky and be mad that it's nighttime instead of daytime. Like, I know change is inevitable. And if this is the new way that things happen, then, you have to adapt. I just know that people listen to music and expect or demand it to be free or conveniently free. Spotify to me is conveniently free. That $10 I spend is like a negligible $10. So all that music that I have access to, great, I understand it. I just want to know that like the people who are making me excited about listening to music through Spotify are getting taken care of and not royally screwed. Record contracts alone, I still have a feeling that Spotify is getting like the lion's share because they're like, oh, we're just hosting your stuff and we're letting people just rape and pillage and go through your content. And then we're giving out shekels, you know what I mean? While we're keeping like the lion's share of $8 to $9 a month in subscription.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think that is new territory for the game business.
Yeah.
And that is what we're looking at for the next 2 to 5 years of how game developers get paid in a new way. And I think there's going to be a lot of
changes coming.
A lot of changes.
Some are exciting though. Like if you can make a really cool game and get a part of like these Games Pass programs, think about it. You're 1 out of 100.
Yes.
You're 1 out of 120.
Yes.
You have a much higher chance of making noise, and you have a captive audience.
Yes.
So there's probably still a lot of opportunity there. Considering, okay, well, fine. I want to go straight to Steam. I want to be 1 out of 58,000, 60,000, 70,000, 80,000 games that are actually receiving active patronage. Whole different story.
Yeah. Well, that ends it.
All right.
Thank you for joining us on our games recap. Again, if you are watching on Twitch, thank you. We are on 10 a.m. daily on our Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/blue_champs. If you are missing us, and if somehow you're watching us, you're probably watching us from our YouTube channel, youtube.com/blue_champs, where you can find our other shows. Yeah. If you want to support us, you can subscribe to our Twitch Prime, $5 a month or more.
Appreciate it if you have it.
Go to our patreon.com/bluechamps to make Games Recap an audio version podcast so you can hear us on your daily commute. If you want to buy some shirts or merch, go over there as well on our bluechamps.com/merch. All right. And so that concludes everything we got today.
Consider yourselves recapped.